Good evening to you all. So today our topic is about the fusion, blending with the nature. So first I'll explain you what the topic really means. So this is regarding the combination of inside and outside of a building. So actually, as architects, it's one of our major responsibilities to create spaces that connects inside and outside of a building. So especially as occupants, you all need to be in space which is full of ventilation, light, as well as it should consist of much comfort. Otherwise, you will feel that you are being trapped inside four walls without any feeling. So that I'll explain you some slide which ways highlighting how you can achieve this in and out connectivity within a building. So I'll explain you three ways. First is in-betweenness, second is intermingling, and the third is interpenetration. So what these terms means? In-betweenness mean creating some kind of threshold space between inside and outside of a building. As you see in this photograph, Barcelona Pavilion, the yellow color highlighted space elaborate a threshold space. It do not belong to inside, neither outside. But by being in this kind of threshold space, you can be aware what's happening inside, as well as you can be aware what's happening outside. You are very much connected with inside and outside. So I think when you are designing a house, when you ask clients, when you get a house designed by architect, you can get seek of this kind of threshold spaces, because these kind of space provide a unique in-between experience to you. So the next one is intermingling. This is where you are using a architectural or an environmental element in order to create some kind of outside experience. That means now there are many instances where architects have to design buildings in very tight urban sites with lack of land area. So there the clients are worrying that we don't have much spaces for garden areas. But in such instances, as architects, we can give some kind of element, environmental element, or either sculpture, or you can create a strip of opening where sunlight penetrates inside. So this space will give you the glimpses of outside feeling, so that you don't want to worry. So within the available space, by creating some kind of elements, you can connect with the outside areas. And the other thing is the interpenetration. Now the interpenetration means creating a building interpenetrating into the outside. As in the first diagram, there the building penetrate towards the outside. So in the second below diagram shows how the outside penetrate towards the building. Now, actually this can be achieved either by creating projections in the building, or else by creating pockets or courtyards inside the building. So actually this is very much important, especially for architects, to finalize the orientation of building. Because in order to create this in and out connectivity, you have to definitely finalize a proper orientation which suits the micro context. So then only you will be able to allocate the proper openings which support to penetrate daylight and without disturbing the existing wind patterns. So then you can create this in and out connectivity within a building. Next, I will introduce you three key projects done by RDC architects where this in and out connectivity is achieved in different ways. The first project is Urban Vire Residence at Vattala, and the second one is Villa 47, and the third one is Training Center for National Water Supply and Drainage Boards at Rakmalana. So I'll explain you the residence at Vattala. So this is how the layout plans are done by the architect. So as you see, now this building, this house consists of 3 floors. Now you can see how the building is oriented in this available land area. Now, actually, within this house, the architect has designed walls in an angular direction as projection toward these available green pockets, so that this was done in order to capture the maximum or the optimum daylight or to capture the maximum surrounding context towards the building inside. So now you can see by this orientation, the architect has been able to give light and ventilation to each and every spaces directly from the intermediate surrounding context. So now you can see how these living areas and the bedroom areas and even the circulation core has been open out to the surrounding nature. Now, and also you can see how this, as I explained you earlier in the previous slide, how these architectural elements, this water body, has been linked these spaces together. So even this water body create the glimpses of outside. So when dining area, so all these get connected with the outside, inside spaces. Even in the upper level terrace area, it has been located in a way it captures the surrounding context and the surrounding view. So this is the photograph showing the simple sober entrance. Actually, this entrance, it's widely open out to the forecourt. So here it's done in a minimalistic way, but it totally connects with the outside environment. This is another example where this in-betweeners is being used. Now you can see how these foldable, openable door windows connect these two spaces together, so that as occupants they can feel an extendable interior space. So even the available space get interlinked with each other. So these are some ways these connections can be extended towards the outside areas. And this is where the living area. Normally in a home, the living area is the main space which is commonly used for social gatherings. So now here this living area, it's totally been exposed and open to the immediate outside environment, so that inhabitants or the occupants can daily capture or feel the view of the outside from an internal perspective. This is a photograph which shows how the architect has played with different levels in order to connect different spaces together. Now, by creating these kind of double height or triple height void spaces, it allows stack effect ventilation, as also these open floor plans allow for good ventilation system. This is another area, the series of staircase which leads you to upper floors. It do not act as a barrier. It also support to maintain this visual connectivity, so that while climbing up the staircase also you will be able to get the glimpses of outside as by being in this inside. And this is another way the architect has maintained a long horizontal strip opening. So this is maintained at your eye level, so you get the glimpses of outside by being inside, but you are not totally exposed to the outside area. This is a photograph of bedroom with a calming environment. Actually, this normally in a home, bedroom should consist of a calming environment with soothing colors, because it should not be trapped with many walls, but it should expose to the nature. Then only you will get a tranquility. Even you will be able to build up tranquility in your lives also. So here this is done in a very minimalistic way, capturing the waves of outside nature. And this is another photo. These photographs shows how the architect has maintained a dramatic space even in these corridor areas. These openable lower panels allow light and also wind to penetrate into the interiors. And also in evenings and in mornings, these different light, shades, shadows make different patterns on walls. So all the time this space become live and dramatic. So by these kind of different ways, the architect has been able to maintain in and out connectivity within this house. So I will invite Anuttara to explain you another approach where this in and out connectivity is being achieved.
This is Villa 47 at Pannipitiya. The next project I am going to share with you. Basically, this project is located at suburbs of Colombo at Pannipitiya. And let me give you a brief description about the site context. The site is actually bordered by a beautiful green paddy field and also with a narrow water stream. Here you can see how the water stream is bordered by the land. And the site extent was 14.5 perch. And we have identified two major potentials in the site. The first thing is its location, which is bordered by the paddy field, which we can get beautiful views. And the other thing is that there were several existing trees, and some were located along the boundary next to the paddy field, and there was one tree which is located in the middle of the site. So in our design, we tried to get the, without axing down any tree, we tried to get the use of that view and amalgamate it with our design. So basically, we have designed a blind spine wall at the opposite side of the paddy field, and we have anchored all the spaces to that blind wall and open out it to the paddy field in the other end. And also we tried to arrange all the spaces like living, dining and all other spaces around that existing middle tree. And this is the image. You can see a realistic image of the completed project. And you can see the paddy field at your right side, and we have hide the property from the blind spine wall and open out most of the spaces towards the paddy field. And here you can see clearly how we have camouflaged the building to the nature and inside the landscape. We have used the colors to blend with the nature, and actually you cannot see the total building from far away. And this is another picture which shows the paddy field and the narrow water stream. Here we tried to get the rhythmic water flow towards the building as well. So we have created a water feature inside the house as a continuation of the rhythmic flow. And here you can see how we have managed the existing tree which was at the site. And we have designed all the living spaces around it, where we can capture the views from the paddy fields. And here you can see some GI tubes around the tree, where we have used as a structure to support the uppermost roof. And rather using square-shaped sections, here we have wisely used round-shaped GI tubes to merge with the tree and inspired from the tree trunks. And also we have used wide openings here to create interconnectivity from the outside and the inside. And also this is the uppermost level relaxing bed space, which we have created for relaxing purposes, and we haven't used any sort of permanent separations here. It is just open out to the outside, where you can feel the highest points of the canopies and the blue sky. We have just used bamboo blinds to cover the space during the heavy rains. And the below image shows you how we have extended the interiors towards outside to capture the 180 degrees views. And this is how we have cleverly played the levels to interact with the nature. You can experience the existing tree in different levels. And also we have created wide openings to get the maximum use of the garden and the paddy field. And this is the image that you can see how we have blend the materials, which is always goes with the nature, and also the color palette we have used. Here you can see the different shades of earth colors inspired by the nature, and we have used dark brown shades and shades of green to merge with the nature and not to do a contrast building. So this is how we have achieved the in and out connections through this project. And our next project will be quite a different project. I will invite Bhagya to share the project with you.
Anantara, we already discussed how we deal with the inside and outside in a residential environment through two different residential projects. And now I'm going to discuss about how we deal with the inside and outside in a commercial and institutional project. The project is a training center designed for National Water Supply and Drainage Board. Actually, the project is under construction. The site is located at Thelavala, facing to Thelavala Road. The site was previously used as a parking space, and the rear boundary of the site is a marshy wetland area with a canal which is direct into Eraskaga nearby. And the existing canal situation, it is very polluted, but it has a nice natural green belt. The water level of the canal is increasing with the rainfall. The rear facade of the building is directly facing to the existing marshland, and we try to merge the existing marshland with our rear garden space through the landscape design. And also in the upper level, we created a linear mud pond as a continuation of the rear landscape area. This is a cross-section of our design. Existing marshland, a natural habitat for wetland species. A variety of inhabitants are there, especially birds. We developed the existing canal through our design project. There was a solid boundary wall which blocks the beautiful view of the marshland and the canal. We demolished the solid wall up to its boundary foundation level. Considering the increasing water level of the canal as an advantage and allows to penetrate the water into the site gradually through the rear landscape area up to the rear edge of the building, and it creates a shallow water level between existing canal and the gabion wall at the edge of the rear building facade. With the time, then we treated the threshold with an interpenetrative mesh just to define the side boundary. And we also considered, when we decided the levels of the building, we considered the flood levels during last 10 years, and also we designed the lowest level of the building as a parking space. As I already explained, we created the linear mud pond at the upper level with a shallow water level, which gives the direct view to its main entrance lobby area, and the pond is designed with the double height volume while enhancing the spacious quality of the building. When we design the levels of the building, it is done in a way to capture the maximum view of the natural wetland area in different angles. Due to the wind flow, it takes fresh and cool air from the wetland area into the building. Not only the rear side, we also developed the front facade of the building with a green belt while creating the shading effect to the front facade and giving views to the inside. But we mainly focused how we can innovatively tackle with the existing environment and how we can get its beauty into the building. This is a meeting point where the natural environment and man-made environment meets, and we allows to develop the natural environment as it is, and we feel and experience the natural beauty of it in a distance through the wide opening corridors. We designed the total rear facade of the building with large openings and open corridors, and we also projected out a part of the building with series of balconies to capture the maximum view of the natural surrounding. We came up with a solution for the industrial harshness as an sustainable through the sustainable landscape, and we respond to the existing environment and we allow us to grow it, and then we experience its beauty from the building. This is a view from the main lobby of the building, and the created mud pond creates the continuation of the wetland area through a series of wide openings, while the double height volume enhancing its effect. Natural breeze penetrate into the building through large openings while creating the passive cooling strategies in this building. Beyond the limits of the conventional walking corridors, through the created water pond, it gives views towards the wetland area. We created the in-between space, the space between rear wetland area and the inside. We tackle in a subtle way and blend with the outside environment. We also projected out the conference hall of the building to capture the maximum view around it. The evening sun creates shadow effects and light effects and create moods within people. Through the design, we develop the nature and allows to grow it in its own way, and also we created green belts, and the design is done in such a way to capture the maximum view of the beautiful surrounding and also take some parts out from the building to capture the maximum view. We should design with the nature as we are part of it. We discussed about how we deal with the nature and the built environment through 3 different projects, basically 2 residential projects and a large-scale commercial project. And we also discussed how we respond to the existing nature and how we created the beautiful surrounding within our limitations and boundaries. When you are dreaming for a construction project, whether it is residential, commercial or industrial, try to blend with the nature and improvise as we are part of it. Feel the nature and try to experience the beauty of it. I'll invite architect Rasal Dandini, our principal architect, to continue the presentation.
Good evening, everyone. I think you have experienced what RDCA tried out in different level and different scale of buildings to respond to nature and treat nature as our responsibility. Then I have to say something of our country and what is our era and what we really do as architects, and the public what you should expect from the architects. Because you name Sri Lanka maybe a pearl of Indian Ocean and maybe a paradise island or wonder of Asia or whatever, that Sri Lanka has a great potential and very unique and defined natural setting. We born in Sri Lanka and we become architects. Then you all born here as a citizens of Sri Lanka. So we have to think realistically what we are doing, whether we are doing a justice to our mother Sri Lanka. We just don't want to show our projects, but we want to create an sort of conceptual request from the public and the nation as a whole. Design responsibly and absorb things responsibly. So we will look at where we born, because when we are running across Colombo, we are having a very sad feeling of how we are changing our skyline. Skyline is changing beyond architects' control. It is a pathetic situation. We are having planners, architects, decision makers, but still Colombo skyline is rapidly changing without our control. So as Sri Lankan citizens, whether we need it, 20 million people, do we need high-rise developments? I don't know about that light transit, light rail and KV lines and development modes, but I am thinking about the built environment. I will surf through a bit of Sri Lanka where we born and where we are ashamed of what we are doing as architects and what really public need as public. This is beautiful Sri Lanka. We are having 3 key aspects. We are having a rich culture, we are having a superb nature, breathe it, meditate on it. We are belongs to the proud nation where nature made everything for us. But as architects, planners, do we doing a justice to the nature and our mother Sri Lanka is the question. That is why we have to get together and do some tangible thing as a professional. Because when we going across Colombo, suburban Colombo and port city development, we see how we are going to ruin our natural setting. In a day, we are also following up a bad precedence of where all the developed countries adopted. It's a shame because we are rich heritage and culture and nature made everything. As architects, we have to do design with little bit of responsibly. That was the idea of our projects we have shown, how smaller way we can contribute and link up the nature to our building attempts. As a public, you have to limit your greed because we need to build optimum, not maximum. And we have to save the nature. Wherever possible, we have to get connected the natural setting. We have to save trees where any existing trees. If we have to cut down the trees, we have to replant maybe more. Likewise, we have to do some tangible thing. RDC architects always trying their best to preserve the nature. And it is a shame as architects, we don't have to do anything because nature made everything for us. But as a civilization grown up, we have to serve. That is the sad part of our profession. I think society is driven by market, not the real need and aspiration and pulse of the people. So everlasting three key words we have: nature, culture and future. If we are running this rate and running this way, we don't have a future. Therefore, we all get together and at smaller way will protect our nature and respond our nature. That is our prime objective. So we will have this sort of beautiful Sri Lanka another more years. Thank you.